Well, we're here with Mark Hazel of S&P Global Mobility. Good to see you again, Mark.
Good to see you.
Yeah. So what division do you work for? And actually, what's your title?
Yeah. So S&P overall has five different divisions. Our home is in the mobility division, which historically would be encompassing of like old brands you might know as like IHS or Polk,
Yep,
things
sure.
like that. So that is our current home within S&P. And then I
I see.
run our commercial vehicle team. Been here for about 5 years. So between the product side and the sales side, I've gotten pretty familiar with the data and what goes on in.
Awesome. Well, you guys have certainly have a lot of data, and it's always great to interact with you and get your analysis, which is what we'll do now. So let's start with some trends. We can do trends by segment, by vehicle class, or you tell me how you want to slice and dice it.
So 24 into 25, it was interesting. Like overall, the year was flat. Still went up. But if you look into what happened, it was kind of a tale of seeing two different weight classes. Your light duty, so your class 1 into 4, that actually saw some growth. And then
Okay.
in the medium heavy duty, that was really severely hit by tariffs. So like we were seeing,
Okay.
almost a 24% decline
Wow.
in year-over-year
And we're
registration.
talking registrations. Yeah. Okay.
Just in the medium heavy. But
Right.
then, you know, the volume is so much larger in, the light duty
Sure.
side, that so back to the point, like at the end of the day, from a registration standpoint, the year was flat, but you really saw some growth and then in fleets, and then you also saw some fleets obviously holding back because of all the uncertainty of tariffs.
Yeah. Okay. How do you see that playing out moving forward? We're still in that uncertain time. I mean,
Yep, absolutely. So
yeah.
I think, despite all the uncertainty with the economy and things that are going on, in that light duty spot where we saw growth, you still saw growth in construction, in services industry, even like smaller things like landscaping. So fleets are still buying vehicles. You and I are still buying houses, having things done. There's still that need out there, and consumers are still spending money, which in turn is obviously impacting the way that we can do business.
Uh-huh.
And then we're forecasting right now the medium heavy duty space, despite what happened with that 24%, we're actually expecting about a 5%, 5 to 7% growth year over year.
Growth.
So,
Okay. Yeah. Do you see anything with EPA in 2027 and then maybe a pull forward and that would be
um,
class 7 and 8, I think.
yeah, in
Yeah.
class 7 and 8 right now, it's just that small growth in the next year that we're seeing,
Okay.
and then a little bit more as we go out as well.
Let me ask you about powertrains. I mean, certainly we saw an expected growth with EVs, which didn't happen.
Yep.
We still have a wide range of powertrain options, but I mean, where do you see the growth? Where do you see the pullback? That type of thing.
So what's really interesting is if you like go all the way back to like 2018, so before EV truly became the
Right.
buzzword, and you
Okay.
compare like where we were at in 2018 versus where we finished last year, and you just break every VIN down at a fuel level and you count all of those VINs up,
Okay.
you actually see gas increase a few percentage points.
From 2018.
Yep.
Gas. Yeah,
Yep.
I
Gas
would
goes
get
up,
that. Yeah.
and then you see diesel come down a little bit,
Yep. Yep. That
what we
makes
expected.
sense.
And then EV went from like 0 to like a 2% share.
Right. And that's
So
on that. But what class that you talking about? Passenger car? Yeah.
no, so that's
Oh,
still all commercial, but the EV percentage, we see that in the cargo vans,
right. Okay.
yeah.
So in the commercial space as it relates to EVs, we're talking like class 2B cargo vans, we move from 0 to 2%
Yeah.
essentially,
Yeah.
which is a bit of growth. And that's essentially where it is, right? In the cargo van spot. It works great for last mile delivery. When we get into class 3, 4, 5, I mean it's a percentage, not even a percentage of a point. It's like
It's small.
0.5% or something. Yeah.
Yeah. So you're right. EV definitely has its it'll have its sweet spot.
Yeah.
When you have like that last mile delivery, you have those vehicles that are doing that same repeatable route, every single day, like it'll work. And
Yeah.
I think you'll continue to see it grow. But there's definitely a place for it.
Do you see any growth in any of the other powertrains that have been widely available for years and years?
I think we're gonna see a lot more growth in hybrid eventually.
Oh, hybrid. Yeah. Oh, I would say so.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, do you actually think there's going to be hybrid? Of course, I mean, obviously on the, passenger car side, it's tough to get hybrids right now.
Yep.
They just can't build them fast enough. But in the commercial space, would someone be making a cutaway or whatever with a hybrid powertrain?
I think there's a potential.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Cool. So how about last kind of general thought process here on any unexpected things that you're seeing in the market, and what does the rest of 2026 and into 2027 look like?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I think in terms of unexpected things, with our data, we see every VIN, we see every fleet that it belongs to. So we're able to see how trends shift over times and fleet sizes. And one interesting trend that we're actually seeing right now is in certain areas of the country, we're starting to see smaller fleets shrink in size and get smaller, and larger fleets actually grow in size. So like that could be a few different things. Number one, obviously private equity is big right now. So you have private
Yeah.
equity buying up
Yeah.
some of
Yep.
those fleets. Some may be going out of business. There's always, contraction and growth in that
Okay.
area. That's just kind of an assumption that we see and have in the next few months. We'll actually be able to get a lot deeper into that data as we roll out, the new product and everything
Yeah.
we're doing, which will include, used vehicles, and it will include that VIO history. So now we're actually able to see what happened, where did this fleet go, and really get into that detail with it.
Interesting. Okay. So big fleets getting bigger, which I guess, when we talk about different industry verticals, I mean, consolidation is always, and certainly in the upfit market right now, that's been
Yeah.
consolidated with upfitters, but we're seeing that in actual fleets, and those are the companies that are using fleets that are probably consolidating into bigger conglomerates, I
Yeah.
guess you'd say.
Yeah.
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 I mean, the pharmaceutical companies are merging and
Yeah.
that type of
Yeah.
thing.
Absolutely.
Okay. Yeah. Interesting. All right. Well, last kind of thought on what the near future is going to look like in terms of overall registrations and yeah.
Yeah, in terms of like, I think overall, thoughts that are going to continue to shape the industry
Yeah.
is, as we sat like in Green Truck Summit this week, it was almost refreshing to hear some of the new thoughts that the leaders in our industry have, that shift into autonomy. I think that that's
Yeah.
something that
Yeah.
is going to be a viable option, especially in that long haul vocation and
Yup.
where that's going. So I think you're continuing to see that to be a big trend as we go. Something.
Yeah. Perfect. Well, Mark, it's always great to connect on the trends. So thanks very much.
Absolutely.